Welcome to Saving America. This is your host, Dr. David D. Shine, and our series of interviews for Saving America establishes that the world is full of interesting people. And we welcome Mary Elizabeth Jackson, author, writer, educator, podcaster, and advocate for special needs children. She has so many things in her background that I had to cut it to the bone to save time for this interview. Mary Elizabeth Jackson is a five-time #1 on Amazon best-selling author. In collaborative anthologies, she has Women with Healing Gifts, Glimpses into the World of Autism, The Fearless Entrepreneurs. #4, an international bestseller, Invisible No More. Invincible Forevermore, August of 2021, and she has The Book I Read, March of 2022. Jackson is also the 2017 Gold Maxi Award-winning author of the children's book, Perfectly Precious Poolicious. Jackson has recently released her Inspired Kids series with book one, Perfectly Me. She lives with her hubby, 3 kids, and a dog in Nashville. We welcome her for her first appearance on Saving America.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, David. It's it's just so nice to be here. I'm so excited about it. And I'm so glad we got to meet because I think you're really fascinating too. And everybody has a story, don't they?
It's amazing. And you've got multiple stories. And as you know, what we do on Saving America is we ask 3 questions. So the first one is, tell us about being a certified special needs advocate and an ambassador advocate for Autism Tennessee. It says Autism TN, and I'm assuming that's Autism Tennessee.
Yes, it is. Actually, it's a nonprofit that's here in Nashville, and it is the only nonprofit that's specifically geared toward autism, families raising individuals with autism or who have, somebody in the family that has autism. And I would say it's a very exciting time right now because I'm working on some very exciting projects, and some were kind of like, oh, I hope that happens, and now it is, And I've been parenting for over 24 years. I have 3 children. 2 of my children are on the spectrum, so that is how I became an advocate and first started out as an advocate parent. And along my journey, my middle daughter, when she was 5, experienced an incredible trauma in school, and it kind of changed my direction as an advocate. And I started to, I chose to go the path of trying to change law in the state that I live in. And that took me down a very different road. And then when my third son came, my third child, my son, late in life, and he was born with his own set of challenges, that's how I became an author. And it's been very interesting, I think, and something I really wanted to do is to be able to intertwine everything. So for being an ambassador advocate with Autism Tennessee, I go out into the public and do events and education. And right now we are launching our Building Bridges program. I have people I'm training tomorrow. So we go into schools, daycares, preschools, corporations, and train individuals on early signs and symptoms of autism and what to do, how to help. And because it's 1 in 36 kids now that's being diagnosed with autism, the rate is going up and up. More and more people are being diagnosed. We need this education and awareness out there. So I'm really excited to be a part of this program. And we really can teach it across the country if anyone's interested, because we are going to be taking it to video as well. I'll be a part of launching that. And then also working with some grants to be able to put some sensory rooms and make businesses and libraries and museums and all kinds of places have be more sensory friendly. And so we're working on a project with the Nashville Airport right now. So I'm very excited about this. This is good stuff.
Well, especially we're hearing so much about it today. Just to tie it to me, believe it or not, in the last hour, I have spoken with a graduate student at my university who is on the spectrum. He has worked with me over a fairly long period of time because I was advisor when he got his first graduate degree, and he's back getting another graduate degree. And we had a registration issue, so I was working with him on that. So I'm used to adjusting to it in the classroom, even at a graduate level. It's interesting. I have one of my grandchildren who has been diagnosed as on the spectrum, though it seems to be fairly modest. So this is something that seems to be impacting, first of all, as teachers were impacted, but also certainly as parents and grandparents. So it's something that's, part of the reality of life. And I'm glad people are adjusting to it and taking action to make it more accommodating for people that are experiencing these challenges. Well, let me ask you a question too with our limited time here. With 5 #1 books on Amazon, let's explore your approach and some advice for members of our audience who want to write a successful book themselves.
Well, that's a loaded question.
Yes.
So I would say you need to be prepared. If you really want to be an author, be prepared for a lot of work. And, unless you're already famous or have a lot of money to pour into it, you are going to do a lot of work and it'll take time. So you need to look at a long haul. Like, okay, I want to go in and I'm going to do this for 5 years. It takes about 5+ years, maybe almost closer to 10, to become a very successful author. I was first published in 2017, and it took a while. Even if you get a publishing contract with a very large publishing company, they these days are going to expect you to do a lot of marketing and PR work yourself. So it's not about publishing and I'm going to sit and wait for the checks to come in. I would say if you want to write, you need to write, and don't wait for that like cabin in the woods or, cottage on the beach. I've learned to write in car rider lines and practices and rehearsals and games. And, when I have 20 minutes here and there, I've learned how to write that at those times. But it's a passion of mine. So I think writing is a passion project. And, if you are stuck or want to write and you don't know what to do, then talk to somebody who's already published. Do some research, look for someone that you could talk to, a coach or something that would help you. And you got to believe in what you're writing, because you're writing your book is going to be an extension of you. It's like your business card. And so, you got to cheer it on, and say, and I know for some of us, it's really hard to talk about ourselves. But for me, it was like, I took myself out of that because that was difficult, but talking about my book was so much easier, so you have to take every opportunity you can to promote. I mean, and kind of shamelessly, right, David?
Well, I understand that I'm just a little bit behind you. My first book came out 2018 and the second one 2022. And sadly, my current book, which is not in the same series, it's a very different book than the first two. I'm very delayed. I've written the first 12, 14 chapters of about a 70 chapter book. And of course, even that is interesting to me as somebody who's read hundreds and hundreds of books over my career, is that we're used to having a book with 12 or 15 chapters, and now books have many more chapters, and they're just shorter, 1,500 words a chapter, and I'm kind of used to 3,000 word chapters. So it's just a very interesting how even the publishing business, on my second book, we've sold more Kindles than we have hard copies. And growing up, I would never have anticipated, gee, if I'm an author, most of my work is electronic.
It's interesting, isn't it? The whole platform. I mean, you were published in 2018. I was published in 2017, and the entire landscape has changed.
Mhm.
The pandemic changed everything for us, for creatives, period, and all kinds of businesses. And so now we are having to learn how to do things differently in order to survive what's going on. And so, you know, electronic sales aren't bad, right? I mean, however we get a book in somebody's hand.
Absolutely, and get a chance to talk about it. And
Right.
our third question today is, can you share with our audience what they can expect when they listen to Writer's Corner Live and Cover to Cover, two of your
Mhm.
active series online.
Well, okay, so Writers Corner Live was launched in 2018. So it's been 6 years. And we interview authors from all over the globe, anywhere from New York Times to indie sensations. And we're every Tuesday at 10:30. Well, right now it's 11:30 because the time changed. So 11:30 Eastern, Central Time, sorry. And we are online with that. It is live. So we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, that kind of thing. And then Cover to Cover is a separate show that I have myself, because the other one I do with a friend of mine. She lives actually in Cape Town, South Africa. So isn't that cool? We're on
Yes.
totally different continents and we've never met, but we've been working together for 6 years and just really love doing it together. We have a great time. And Cover to Cover was born out of my daughters are music artists and I am their manager, momager, we'll call it. That's what my girls call me. And so I had contacted a PR company about, they were doing magazine reviews they do them for music artists and authors. And so they were working on some reviews for me. And the owner said, I was looking over your website and I want a book podcast for my PR company. And would you do it? I was like, So it took me about 6 months to decide, because I was like, how am I going to do this different? What do I do? But anyways, now I'm on Brushwood Media Network. I have over 340,000 listeners globally. I'm so excited about that. And when you tune in Saturdays and Sundays, 12 to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I focus on the backstories a lot of times of the authors. Being an author myself, I like to dive into what is behind the story, what is the life journey of the person who's written these books. And they're New York Times bestsellers, they're Today bestsellers, they're debut authors. Sometimes they're just inspirational stories, and sometimes I focus more on things like people who write for the disability world, and
Mhm.
anything that is resources, tools, and helpful to those of us out there in the world who are looking for answers. And so it's kind of cover to cover, it can cover all kinds of things, but I'm really enjoying it. And I have just met some of the most amazing people, like the former CEO of Procter and Gamble, and, somebody that, well, I told you who I interviewed yesterday. Like, he's the leading specialist in the world for, crop circles. I mean, whoever thought I'd meet this gentleman, and he's a famous artist, Freddie Silva, and wonderful gentleman. I mean, he's just made it. It's just amazing, all the people that we get to meet and interview, and it makes it a real honor, and a blessing.
It sounds like a lot of fun. And of course, we got interviewed together
Yes,
some months ago, which is how we got introduced in the first place. And it's been
that's
my
right.
pleasure to get connected with you. And it is an interesting journey. And as I said, there are so many interesting people in the world. And I think one of the things that we do is to help people are in their cars or looking for something, or maybe even sitting at the beach, and to say, gosh, I didn't know anything about crop circles. And
I know.
now I know everything that I
I
ever
know.
needed to know about
I
them.
know.
And
Well,
I actually know what crop circles are, which I find fascinating. And I'm one of those crazy people who likes the Karnak stones in France and Stonehenge and
oh
this
yes, and he is.
Hairbrain.
Yes, and he's done like 16 documentaries on all of that, and he's had all these meetings like with NASA, and so all this science and the past and our history are coming together, and it was so fascinating yesterday, and it's a real blessing to be able to share that with others, because like you said, we never know out there who might just need to hear something that someone says, and it may change everything for them, and it may just make them smile. It may make them feel like, okay, I can get through today. Today I can be okay.
I think that's a very valuable concept, and one that we can certainly subscribe to. Uh, Mary Elizabeth Jackson, it is so much fun to talk with you again and to share you with our audience. Can you tell our audience about how they can get more information on you?
Absolutely. And Dr. David, thank you for having me. And yes, it's been such a pleasure getting to meet you and getting to interview you as well. And so you can find me at www.maryejackson.com. And I am on social media, Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and TikTok. I go over there and do a lot of author little minute snippets about the behind the scenes. But my name, Mary Elizabeth Jackson, is pretty much where you can find me social media wise. And all my books, you can find my books on my website. You can find my shows. I have an inspired kid series that was, inspired by my son who came in with challenges. And my goal as a writer, I have a middle grade reader coming out, but my goal as a writer is to empower kids, and to help them to know however they came into this world, they are okay. So it's
Absolutely. And as a grandparent, I could tell you that we're out getting books for the 7 grandchildren and making sure that they feel connected to the world. So you're doing something very valuable. And to our audience, this is Dr. David D. Shine for Saving America. Thanks for joining us. Please subscribe on your favorite platform.